Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday, and it is 7 p.m. And my name is Katie Lowe, and I'd like to welcome you to Opinions, Livestream, and Podcast. You can catch us every Monday right here on Meta Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker. Today, we have a great show lined up for you today. Hey, let's talk money. I want to remind you that today's show is brought to you.
Martha'sHelpingHands.org is more than providing food, clothing, and distributing personal hygiene supplies to the homeless. It is dedicated to inspire, teach, empower the homeless to become homeful with love, compassion, and positivity. Martha's Helping Hands, a 501c3 organization advocating for the homeless by any means necessary. You know, it's a moral obligation, and we as a country and as a people have a moral obligation to help. Make your donation today by calling 312-714-5384 or email Turners412 at marthashelpinghand.org. Homeless people are human, just like us. They need our help. When we do good, we feel good. We are in a position to help. It is our chance to make a difference. Make your donation today. Turners 412 at marthashelpinghands.org.
And that music, faith, by my girlfriend Charmaine DuPont. Sow a seed for humanity at marthashelpinghands.org. All you got to do, no, listen, no donation is too large or too small. All you got to do is send that donation to Turners, TURNERS 412 at marthashelpinghands.org. Okay, let me bring in the rest of the game. I'm going to bring in the host first, Opinionated Lorie. Hey, Lorie.
Hey,
How are
happy
you?
Monday.
Happy Monday
I'm
to
good.
you,
How are
too.
you?
I'm good, and how
Yes,
are
yes, day
you?
day after Easter.
Day after Easter. How about that? Day after
Yep,
Easter,
yep, here
and you
we
still
are.
need to wear your long johns and winter coat in Chicago.
Oh man, it ended up snowing. And speaking of weather, so right now it's 37 degrees at 7:03 p.m. And tonight it's 66% chance of, I'm sorry, 62% chance of precipitation. And
Woo-hoo.
tomorrow, Tuesday, will be a high of 52 degrees and a low of 40 degrees. So
Okay,
yeah,
we
we're
climbing the
trying to
chart.
inch up there and really get into that spring weather
Okay, let's
for
go.
sure.
Let me bring in Professor Dunn and find out what he did for Easter. Hey, Professor Dunn,
Hello, how are you?
how are you?
Hey.
Quite well. How are you all?
All right. How was your Easter?
Yeah, we're doing
It was
good.
very peaceful and, just quiet. We had a very nice dinner and um, gave thanks for being here on Easter Sunday. It's a
All
good
right.
thing.
I know you got a new grandbaby, and you got mayor. It couldn't have been quiet in your house.
Well, they actually were with their parents and
Oh, they were.
they just pretty well like
Oh, so
let
you had a little quiet respite.
Yeah, well, the children are cool. It's a time when they need to actually be with their parents and bond with them as well. We spoil up. It's cool for them to come, but on certain holidays, I think it's essential for them to be with their parents and find out. Actually, let their parents grow with them and establish the ground rules and do the things that we've already been through in our lives, growing up, and actually raising other people's children as well through all of the years. So it's really good to be able to sit back and watch the children now deal with their children. So it's a good thing.
All right. Well, listen, I know you guys are going to talk
That's
money
fantastic.
today. So what I will do is I'm going to disappear. You know, I love being behind the screen anyway. And I'm going to let y'all talk money. And if I have something I want to ask, you know, I'll just pop in. But I'm going to let y'all go at it. Okay?
Okay.
All
That
right.
that
This
sounds
is
great.
opinions.
So hey, so today is
Wait a minute. Wait. I just want to
yes,
remind,
yes.
let me put my glasses on because you know I'm blind and I can't see. I want to remind everybody that this is a show. If you have an opinion, if you have a question, if you have a comment, you do not have to comment in the comment section. You can call 224-484-0962. Voice your comment online. Okay? That's what you can do. You do not have to put your comment in the comment section. All you got to do is pick up your smartphone and you can call right into the show and they can voice their opinions. Isn't that right, Lorie? Isn't that right, Don?
Yes.
Okay. So all you got to do is
Absolutely,
pick up the phone
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
call 224
Yes, give us a call. Two
four
two
eight
four four
four.
eight four zero nine six two. Just give us a
Oh,
call.
okay. I'm out of here.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So hey, so we have an exciting show tonight. So as everybody knows, well, I don't know if everyone knows, but today is actually tax day. They should know. The 18th, I think, because it fell on the weekend, so it's on the 18th this year. And one of Professor Don's many talents is that he is very skilled at financials and tax preparation and all of that. So we're gonna put him on the I don't want to say on the butcher block, but we're gonna put him on the hot seat and just ask a few questions about this. I mean, it may be too late in terms of being able to do your own taxes, but it'll kind of help people prepare for just to know what to do for this year and then or for next year for the 2022 taxes. So Don, I just wanted first of all, can you let everyone know how long you have been in the financial services field
43
or
years.
tax, I should say.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
been in financial
And what and
services
what
for.
and what have you okay, and what
Pardon?
have you like what has been your main focus?
Basically, supporting minority businesses to help them to not only form in terms of doing the proper things that need to be set in place, but to come into being and actually uh, make money or make their money monetary investments make money. And so a lot of businesses get shut down primarily because they don't meet the deadlines and take care of paperwork business. So we work primarily
Mm.
with tax consulting. Uh, we do some tax preparation, but mostly in the office. But uh, consulting work to help people stay in business. The ones people who are getting letters from the government because they haven't filed the proper documents on time, and people who are out there and not claiming of the kind of exemptions and deductions that they need to be claiming, and things like that. We try to keep money in small businesses, minority businesses, so that they can keep existing and grow.
So what would you say are some of the, kind of like the main, I don't want to say mistakes, but I want to turn it around and say what are some of the main opportunities that people could be taking advantage of as far as in small businesses that they don't?
Well, right now it's kind of wide open for small businesses, but our people need to first of all, know how to go forth and deal with marketing, whatever it is that they're able to do, and not rely on some kind of handout programs or any kind of government agencies to pick them up. It's going to be very difficult, and has always been difficult for minority businesses to exist because it's been purposely made that way through the financial institutions to keep them from competing on certain levels. So if you notice in our communities, we have very few people who are in a large variety of different kinds of business, even though we have a multiplicity of different talents and kinds of things that we can do. We do mechanics, we just about build a car, but you have very few
Right.
car
But I guess what I'm
manufacturers.
asking though is specifically what are some of the strategies that somebody could utilize? Let's say you have a small business and you don't know anything about like how to set things up, like in terms of tax wise, like with a LLC or sole proprietorship or just something like that. What are some of those strategies that a person just going into business could utilize to make sure that they come out ahead in terms of their taxes?
Well, my advice to people who just go into business is first of all, decide what you want to do and how broad the spectrum is going to be that you want to cover. Then decide what the name is going to be, get the address and everything. Check with the Secretary of State's office so that you'll make sure you're not duplicating somebody else's name wherever you're
Mm.
getting ready to form your business at. They'll have a registry that you can type your name in. It'll come back and tell you whether the name's out there similar to yours or not, which will immediately tell you whether you can use that name. Uh, Finding a home base, whether it's in the home where you live, or you want to go and locate in a building somewhere. You must already know that when you get ready to make your business plan, and writing a business plan so that you can follow it step by step and make sure that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And
Okay. And what
definitely
are some of the ins and okay. And what are some of the
go.
ins and outs of like when you're setting up that corporation as far as like I hear people throw out and say, "Oh, you have to set up an LLC." I mean, like if I have a business, how do I know that that's going to be the right, corporate arrangement for me?
Well, people like to set up LLCs primarily because limited liability companies don't bear responsibilities if you get sued, but they have very, very fragile existence when it comes down to going down to banks and trying to get financed through banks or through
Mm.
SBA. And so um, it's better to, even if you're gonna start, be an independent, just be an individual and go down and have your own company rather than starting to try to start on the LLC. Get you can
Like a
start a business
sole
on,
proprietorship or something like that.
yeah, sole proprietorship, and that way you can develop everything based on your relationship that you already have with the bank that you're banking with, for instance. Everybody's working now that they have bank accounts that they transfer their money into. So you can start there. Go sit down, talk to them, say, look, you already got my account down here at the bank, and so I want to expand my capabilities and save every time I get paid. I want to put aside $50 in my business account. Can I do that? And they won't say no. You pay a certain amount of money, open the account, and start saving money in it. So then when you do get ready to get started, that you have some kind of backing and relationship with the bank. Because by the time you get ready to make
So it's not
application,
like you're starting from scratch. Then you have a background with them.
right? Because you don't want to just start from with zero base. You want to start with a relationship with financial institutions that can help you out. Because no business starts off of zero, and and so once you make application for your employer identification number, which is free. A lot of people think it costs a lot of money to get in business, but it does not. The only time you wind up spending a lot of money is when you want to go too complex too quick. Well, like if you want to start an S corporation and you don't even have a sole proprietorship, you got to get a committee and all of these people together and elect officers and write a constitution, bylaws, all of those things. Unless you can do them yourself, they're going to cost money, and that may be money that you don't have to get started with. Start simple and work your way up is my advice as far as that is concerned. As simple as you
Okay.
can start.
And it,
See, like
okay.
if you
And then also it's
yeah, before you jump up and
yeah.
say you
I
want
don't
to
have
go
the exact.
into a
Oh, okay.
restaurant business, it
Mm,
may be it may be best that you start selling plate lunches or something from a single location. Some people start cooking in their homes or whatever, and then they get big because people like their products, and the word gets around, and they grow.
okay.
I got to ask
And
you.
I think that I want to say that the Bureau business formation show that 5.4 million business IDs were applied for in 2021, and a large portion of those were African Americans starting companies. And then I think a lot of that is from the pandemic, from the PPP loans and all that, which is, I mean, very very exciting. An unfortunate time. I mean, as far as with the the pandemic and all that. But it's really good to see that that a lot of minorities, specifically Black-owned businesses, kind of have been able to take off the ground and to use actually what you're saying, taking a home-based business, cooking, or even people doing hair and different things like that, and to be able to kind of expand upon that. So that's pretty exciting. I was going to also ask you about. So I know that during the Trump era, there were a lot of tax changes that came about. What are some of those changes that happened in 2021? And well, I mean, obviously the tax season is over, but what are you seeing for 2022 that we can somehow like prepare ourselves for to get ready?
What we've been trying to prepare our people for, especially those people who were on the borderline, because a lot of people um, got into business. A lot of people were able to acquire who bought stock and all kinds of stuff like that that they were not accustomed to dealing with before then. And so now they're having to try to make adjustments in their investment portfolios and everything to try to keep them paying money back. So 2022 definitely is one of those times that you got to pay attention to what you have put your where you put your money and what it's generating in terms of taxable income in terms of what your income level happens to be. A lot of people don't pay attention to that. They'll go out and get in Robin Hood or something like that and not pay attention to what that's going to do to their portfolio if those stocks blow up. And so they're looking at the earning potential and not necessarily the tax burden that comes along with it. We had a client this year
Now
that
that's a good segue. I was actually going to ask you about investing in stocks and ETFs and all that. What are some ways that you can utilize or leverage your tax situation with, let's say, with investing in stocks or even in real estate for that matter?
Well, what I recommend people do at first is look at your gross income level. Look at what you got to pay, and first of all, find out what tax bracket you're in, whether you're in a 15% bracket or a 35% bracket, and then you'll know what your investment capital is going to look like. Just because you make $150,000 a year doesn't mean you're bringing all that money home. Because if you're in a 35% bracket, over $35,000 of that is going to go into federal taxes. And so when people sit down and really put the pen to paper and develop a plan and go by that, it works a whole lot better. And so, like investing in real estate is great, but you got so many people out there competing right now that the competition may wind up pushing you out into areas that you wind up risking losing your money in, because the high dollar real estate properties are mostly sought out and bought by people in corporate America with money who want to buy large tracts of real estate. And so it pushes a lot of the upstarts into buying houses that these people have passed over. And they have to have major repairs and all kind of things done to them in order to flip them over. And so then you're out there stuck with your money invested in something that you can't get rid of until you fix it well enough for somebody to buy it. Or it may be located
right. That's flipping properties. I think that what about the other? I mean, when people think about investing in real estate, there's various ways to invest. I mean, you can obviously, like you're talking about flipping property, you can get a multi-unit property and live in it. You can even, what the younger generation, they call it house hacking. You could,
well, yeah,
have a house out, a couple of rooms.
I think that
all these different types of options of do.
Yeah, that works for quite a few people who want to come together and save their money. But like I said again, you have to have a plan. And when that plan begins to, because you see people in the house hacking programs, for instance, you see case after case after case where people are suing each other because one didn't take care of their part of the agreement and on the rent or whatever else it was that they were supposed to be sharing. That was gonna, if they worked together, it was gonna help them save. But then when they don't work together and they take the money they should be responsible for paying and do frivolous things with it, they're not gonna take care of responsibilities. And so it's gonna cause more problems than it would do good if they were to work together and make it happen. So you're right, there are some investments. That gold is an investment.
Right. But I think
yeah, but but I wouldn't recommend people buying.
I think what I was referring to though is when I say people living with someone. Oh, what I was referring to is like a lot of people are doing Airbnb in their homes, and where they may actually have a couple of bedrooms that they're actually renting out those rooms through the Airbnb app, and actually doing with house hacking. So basically, if let's say there's a shortage of real estate inventory right now, that's one reason because there really just not a lot of property. But people that have, let's say, like a bigger home, or I won't even say a bigger home, but just extra space, they're actually renting out those spaces and making quite a bit of money, because some place, depending on where you live, they might charge $150 a night for the room. And if you get that room rented for the whole month, I mean, it's pretty good money. But I don't know what that will mean for taxes, like reporting wise, if they put that on a 1099.
I understand what you're saying. We live in the area close to United Center, So what you're talking about, people do that over here a lot because folks like to come to the,
Yeah.
the hockey games and the basketball games or whatever. And so some of the people who live here actually make money, renting their spaces out in their homes or places to park. You make $30 to let somebody park their car to go to the game in front of your place. And so we have to have permits to park
Mm-hmm.
near our house because otherwise people will come and take your parking space and you won't have anywhere to park yourself. But like you're saying, there are instances where people make money. But what I was talking more about is the concept of us coming into agreement where we turn large amounts of money out of small investments. And I think people are not accustomed to doing that because they want it to blow up and be something big overnight, like a lottery or whatever. And it's not like that at all. It's a plan.
Can you give me an example of what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that
Can you give me an
we need
example
to
of
learn. First thing we need to learn how to do
Excuse me, excuse
as
me, excuse me, because I'm going to have to do a commercial break. So before you get off into discussing that, because I know that's going to be kind of long, okay? Let me come in and do this commercial break, and then you come back
a
in.
word from our sponsor.
Huh?
okay,
Okay?
yes,
Okay, I want to remind everyone that you
Let's get
are
a
listening.
word from our sponsor.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I want to remind
We can.
everybody that
Yes.
okay. I want to remind everybody that you are listening to Opinions live stream and podcast right here on Meta Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker every Monday night at 7 p.m. The show is brought to you by
Martha's Helping Martha's Helping Hands.org is more than providing food, clothing, and distributing personal hygiene supplies to the homeless. It is dedicated to inspire, teach, empower the homeless to become homeful with love, compassion, and positivity. Martha's Helping Hands, a 501c3 organization advocating for the homeless by any means necessary. You know, it's a moral obligation, and we as a country and as a people have a moral obligation to help. Make your donation today by calling 312-714-5384 or email turners412@marthashelpinghand.org. Homeless people are human, just like us. They need our help. When we do good, we feel good. We are in a position to help. It is our chance to make a difference. Make your donation today. Turners 412@marthashelpinghands.org.
Make your donation, sow a seed for humanity at Martha's Helping Hands.
And we're back.
Okay. One of the things I think our people wind up
All
doing
right.
is
We are back.
we make the list. Yes. I think one of the things that we wind up doing,
So where do we leave off at?
yeah, we left off with how can we make money suggestions. One of the things I think I should say that we do,
Okay.
we look for the opportunity to get an income tax refund every year, which is one of the biggest mistakes that we could make. Because if the IRS has to send your money back, I mean, you paid them too much in the first place. And so if you pay them too much, if we pay them too much beginning now, that means they keep our money for a whole year. And so think about how many billions of dollars they hold and then wind up sending people money back if they decide to. But they have it. They have that money. So if we were to take the money that we wait on and invest it, we could be making money off of it. The IRS is not going to give you anything for it. I mean, in fact, the only thing they do, they are a
Right.
collection agency. They're not a tax refund agency in the first place. So if you take the monies that are waited on for people to get checks, I mean the real huge checks that they get every year. Some people get up to twelve and $15,000 refunds back. And so if they would take that money and put it in an investment portfolio somewhere, then it would turn over. But they would rather wait for the government to send them their money than to try to invest it in the first place or get it. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but that's what people have become used to doing.
Yeah. And I think that the other thing too is that you have a lot of people now, you have a lot of retail investors. So people are starting to kind of have that mindset. But I think before investing was really kind of readily available to people, everyone, and myself included, I would think, oh, okay, I don't want to owe the IRS anything. So I'd rather pay into it so that the next year comes, then I just don't want to owe anything, because then that's the
Well,
other
no,
thing is that, it's true, especially
no,
if you're at, let's say, if you're at a limited income and you have to actually go in and cut a check to the IRS, depending on, like, you might have kids or you might have, other responsibilities, and it's a bit daunting to have to cut a check to someone. And I think that's probably the mentality of people that, are kind of thinking that way. Whereas, I mean, I hear what you're saying. If you have a bit of preparation on your side and make sure that you are allotting for any, tax you may owe, and investing that money so that you're actually making money, so then it won't be that big of a deal when the time comes to pay them their money.
no,
I think it's like a
look,
paradigm shift, though, having to kind of think in that kind of a way.
no. What I'm saying is people deliberately sit down and don't put the right figure what they're supposed to put on their W-4s, and therefore they wind up either being under withheld or over withheld. If they're getting returns back, that means they are over withheld. So they put something on the W-4 or didn't put what they need to put on there to break even. And so what I'm saying really in essence is where's your money do the most good? In the hands of the Internal Revenue Service, so you can get a check back after April 15th, or after January 1 the next year, or out there in the economy, so that you can make money off of it. And that was the question I was posing in terms of that particular conjecture, because I don't think people understand that that's what's happening. A lot of corporations and companies that don't want to adhere to giving more money in terms of minimum wages and so on will make people look like they're getting more money by giving them money they should be paying to the government. And then at the end of the year, especially if you got to get an earned income credit, and you mentioned the fact about children, they look at a lot of corporate accountants look at how many people they have in a corporation that have children that are going to get earned income credit anyway, and they deliberately wind up putting figures on the W-2 forms that the people don't check, because they don't go back and check against what actually they earn. They don't keep up with check stubs and all of this stuff anymore like it used to look at the W-2 form.
Wait, who doesn't keep up with check stubs?
Quite a few
Who doesn't keep
people
up with check stubs?
No, quite a few people
Oh,
know, because people get their money sent to the bank now. And so when the money goes direct deposit, the accountants have opportunities. We have found in our company instances where people have been severely mistreated with the W-2 forms they received, where they got hundreds and hundreds of dollars extra put on, and they never checked it. because they didn't check it. They never got it in the bank. But then they were going to get a refund anyway, so the person knew that. You have to tell people how many dependents you want to claim, and most of the W-2 forms have the information on them anyway. And so that's fraudulent. And people get mistreated that way. But corporations know how to save money.
Well, I'm not sure. I have not experienced. Right. I've not experienced that. I know a lot of the major companies, like just companies I've worked for, not even really huge companies, but a lot of them contract with ADT, and or I'm sorry, not ADT, ADP, and other companies that do kind of big payroll processors. So it's all automated, and it's something that they have portals that you can actually go into the portal and check and see how much you claim on your W-2. It's pretty sophisticated. It would be pretty difficult for companies like that to do that, because you're able to.
No, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but you just repeated what I just got to saying. See, those people who set those portals up. No, people who run ADP are all highly trained economic people who put together programs so that they can earn money by doing payrolls and 941 quarterlies and so on and so forth for businesses and all that. And so they know the ins and outs that I'm talking about. You perhaps know because you haven't had to deal with it before. A lot of people do get done that way because they're going to get so many thousands of dollars back because they get credits for the kids who are under 17 years old. And they are going to get refunds anyway. So if a corporation decides they're going to give them extra $2,000 on the income tax in some kind of way on the W-2 form, or add an extra $500 per person. What if they have 1,000 people at their company and they put $500 extra on the W-2 form, and those people are going to get refunds anyway? That's all I'm talking about. People need to pay more attention to their documents, their deposits, their W-2 forms they get, and the 1099s they get as well.
No, I definitely agree, but I don't want to. You're right. I mean, unless you have an actual specific example of something that has happened, I don't want to scare people into thinking that they're.
Can I just say this about that ADP? Can I say this about that ADP?
Yeah, go ahead, babe.
Wrong or something.
I just want you to know that. I want you to know that ADP has been hacked. Okay? It has been hacked, and once they hack it, remember they get everybody's information, and they have privy to name and social security numbers. Okay, I like the concept
and that can affect
of ADP.
you all across the board.
It can, but I like the concept of ADP, especially when you do income taxes, because if you don't have your tax return, you can log in and pull up the W-2 form and get all the information you need to go on and file somebody's tax. But I just want to throw out that they have been hacked. And in the hacking process, people have gone in and filed income taxes for other people and gotten their refunds. And these are people that hadn't filed their
income. Well,
I just wanted to, I'm going to get out the screen. I just wanted to throw that out.
That is true. Okay. Yep, that's
okay. Right. That's all I was saying a few minutes, Katie, before you leave.
That's true, but let me just tell you something else though, because I don't like to. Right, but let me just add. I want to respond to what Katie said. That's very, very true, and that's definitely something that people need to make sure that they stay on top of. But there are some protections out there. You can actually lock down with IRS your social security number. And I highly recommend that. I'm going to leave a resource for people to do that on our Facebook page, if that's something that you're interested in doing, because that's very, very true. You have people that will use someone's child even in there to claim as a dependent and all that. So it's a very, very good idea to keep that information definitely locked down.
Okay,
And then also in your
uh,
credit report too, there's services that will lock your credit with the credit agencies as well.
well, of course there are. But you asked me the question about how our people could take their money and deal with it in a better manner. And that's one of the main ways that we wind up losing money that I found over the 43 years that I've been out looking. You have to be able to keep up with what you earn for real yourself. You can't rely on ADP or any of those people because they make mistakes like everybody else. They have programmers that put
Yeah.
information in. They have people who deliberately sit up and scam off of folks. They have people working in banks who who target folks who are ageable people who come to that bank back when people were cashing their checks in the banks that got caught scamming money off of old people. So we're talking about now about keeping money in our community, in our families, and whatever. That's what it's about. Now, as far as our filing income tax is concerned, we, uh,
Right.
the poor people in America don't have a lot to worry about if they file correctly and don't start selling the babies and stuff off. They're going to get, even if they work on
Right.
a
Which
small job
some
and make,
people do.
no, they don't. And all they have to do is, if they work on a job, make $11,000. Some of them, if they have enough dependents, get child tax credit and earned income credit, and they get a check for more than they earn the whole year. So this is what I see. And then those people are more likely, if they get their money back in February or March, to be dead broke by June. And so those are the kind of things that I think we got to invest in our community. And I don't want to talk about that today as much as I will be addressing it later. We have a tax compliance program
Okay. So
for people who are receiving letters, who get
okay.
letters and they ignore them and they figure it's going to go away, and then the penalties and interest build up. And next thing they know, they get to working somewhere and they got a letter that's going into their taking their money, go in their bank account and take all the money out the bank.
Okay. So then let's say okay. So
Something is going on with your audio. I
do
can't hear you.
Yeah. Somebody,
I'm a single person and looking into you. What
Lorie,
steps
you're
would you?
freezing. You're freezing.
What steps would you recommend me doing?
You're freezing.
I couldn't hear the question
Who's freezing?
because
I'm
you were
freezing.
freezing. That
Your
yeah.
screen is freezing. So when you're talking, it's like an
Oh,
echo.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Oh, she logged out and she's gonna log back in. While she's logging back in, I want to ask you a question. There are a lot of young people, and I mean, when I say young people, let me say there are a lot of people between the age of 27 and should I say 35.
Yeah,
And these people are earning quite a bit of money.
6 figures.
They are. I
Yes,
mean, they are earning a lot of money.
right.
What kind of advice do you have for these people who are earning this money and they are in a very high income bracket? Should
Well, first
they
thing I
make
say,
investments in real estate like income property so that they can
right.
have something to write off? What should they do? Because
Well,
you have these young people, and when I say these young people are making six figures, I'm telling you they are making six figures after taxes. They are making six figures.
okay.
So
Well,
what can they do to minimize their income tax?
first thing they need to do is invest in a tax sheltered annuity
Okay.
from the beginning. There's an allowable amount that they can have taken out, and that does not go against their income. It's pre-tax. It comes out. So that's the first thing they can do.
So, but what is? Can you explain exactly what that is?
A tax sheltered annuity is
Yes.
a insurance company that will take their money and it add interest to it over the years, and then they, after they get to a certain convention, a maturity level in the company, they can draw it back out with a lesser tax rate, hopefully, based on whatever the tax rate happens to be at that time.
But what
But
percentage of that money can they invest in that annuity? What
pardon me?
percentage? What percentage? Usually, there is only a certain percentage that you can invest.
Well, but there's nothing that says you can't invest in multiple annuities.
Okay.
That's what
All
people
right.
make the mistake. They go out there and they think it's just one. It's multiple annuities that they want to get involved in it. And of course, you can put your money where you want to. It's your money. And so when you want to save money to keep the government from taking it, you need this year, we had a person that got $3 million. And all they had
Okay, but when they're in that when they get in that annuity, they can't draw any money out of there.
No, there are a number of things you can do if it's with the right company.
Let me finish the question.
I mean, you can go and get loans off of it and put it back in 90
but
days.
let me finish this question though. It's a kicker to it. Okay. When they invest in these annuities, now basically you saying they can go get loans off the money, but they're going to be taxed at a higher rate if they go in and touch that money. Now, if they leave, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. I may be wrong. But if they leave that money in there to their 59 and a half, they're going to be taxed at a different rate. Am I right or wrong?
It depends on whether you're making a loan or if you're going in there making a withdrawal. I mean, that's what I just got through saying. You can borrow money from the TSI. You check with them before you put your money in there. Ask them, look, what kind of flexibility do I have with my money?
Okay, you guys, let's do a level set on this. I want to make sure that we are giving accurate information, because this, from what I'm seeing here, a tax shelter annuity is for tax exempt organizations and self-employed people. So I'm assuming what you're talking about is people that are going to be self-employed, not if you're, let's say, making six figures and you're working for a company.
They use it.
No, that's not true. I don't know where you Google that at, but it's wrong.
Well, it says annuities can be structured in a variety of ways. They can provide income
having an IRA or what's the other one? Deferred comp or something like that, right?
I mean, you can get TSAs from any insurance company. You just have to know who you're asking for, and most of the people they keep it where you have to go through some advisor that recommends it to you. But what you just called it now, that's not what I'm talking about.
Because it talks about 401.
We're talking about young people. There are some young people out here between the ages of 27 and 35, and these people are making six figures. And I mean, they're making six figures after Uncle Sam done schooled them out the tax.
And you asked me what they need to do. I said the first thing they need to do.
Sam, what did they need to do? Because they need a nest egg. They need some type of investment. Okay.
Yeah, they need to invest in tax shelter annuity from the top, so to reduce their income to a significant degree. Then they need a sideline if they're gonna look for something to write off. It may be real estate they want to write off and invest in, but if they can write off for 3 years, you can write off a loss if you're buying houses or whatever you're doing with it. When you get that kind of income, because you're not going to spend it all at one time anyway. So you have to find that portfolios
So
to
you
try to
don't think
invest
the
in.
real estate market
Okay.
would be a good market for them to
Right.
go
And
into?
let me remind everyone that we're not giving tax advice to people.
No,
Just
this
in
is
case someone
opinion. Yeah.
this is not just a disclaimer. Get an accountant and because your tax situation might be completely different from the next person. So
Well,
But
look, I've been in this
wait a minute.
23
But
years,
if
so
they need
I
some
imagine that's
tax,
what you asked me on here for. So I came
wait a
on
minute.
here to try to give
Okay.
you the best things that apply to our people
Okay.
that has worked for them over the years that I've seen happen, and so forth. So far, we've been going along and cutting it off and getting little bits and pieces and not finishing the paradigm. Maybe I should have done a outline or something, but I don't work like that either
Wait a
because
minute. Let me say this. Professor Donald Kincaide. Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Talk statistics. Okay. Also, he worked in statistics for the federal government. Professor Donald Kincaid owns Kincaid's and Associates. Okay. I want you to know that it is a tax and financial consulting company. It has been in business for over 40 something years. Okay. This is legit. I
oh
don't,
yeah, no, and I'm not
okay.
saying that it's
But
not
wait a minute.
right. But I guess what I'm saying, if you want specific tax, you would need to contact him for your specific situation. We're not telling anyone,
Me and
what
you
to
are
do for
not.
their
Me
situation.
and you are not. But he is because he is qualified to do this.
And I'm not saying he's not qualified. I'm
No,
just saying that
we're not. We're
we
just giving opinions.
right. But what
He's
I'm saying
giving
though is
facts
that
and information.
I mean, just like when we had like a stockbroker on there, they cannot tell you unless they're employing them, and then they can look at your tax situation and know because everyone has a unique situation. So I just don't want the show to be. I just want people to understand that we're not giving them specific advice because, I mean, as good as he is, he doesn't know the variables that people might have. I mean, everyone's situation is different.
But that's not what the show is about.
But
The show
no, if you don't want specific
that's not what
answers,
the show is
then
about.
don't ask case specific questions. Just ask general, and
We're-
then I'll give you generalities, and we'll move on.
Right. And that's
Because
what I thought.
that's what we're doing.
Right. That's what
This
I
is an
thought I was doing.
opinionated show, and so if we're going to get on here and be opinionated about it, then all of us got an opinion about how to handle our money. Everybody got the way. If somebody give each one of us $1,000 now and say go spend it, we're going to spend it different ways out of three of
Yeah.
us. And so it's no case specific. I'm not trying to give case specific advice.
Right.
She
Yeah, and
asked me what
that's
to
all I'm
do.
saying
If
too.
you got
Yeah.
6 figures and you're a young person, she gave me an age group, which is something I can relate to. Young people in a 35% tax bracket.
Yeah, they
That's
are.
the highest. That's the highest bracket you can put them in, and they're the ones who wind up paying the money back. The big rich people don't wind up paying the money back because they got annuities, they got offshore accounts, they got everything else where they can put the hedge funds, everything. I can get over here and talk about all those things, but they do not apply to our people because we don't have a whole lot of them. We don't even have people in our own families. I don't know about yours. I'm talking about mine who want to sit down at the table and come up with saving $50 a month to get ready for a family reunion. They want to wait until the reunion time come up and everybody send a bill around and pick the T-shirts and all this bullshit when they could have the money in the bank before. And so please don't push me over in that part. I want to stay general. If you want me to be general, if you ask me case-specific questions, I'm going to answer them in a case-specific manner. And no case applies to everybody.
Right.
Yep. And that's my point.
And so I'm not trying to get your shoulder to give people advice or anything. Right now, there's nothing we can do for a lot of people who haven't filed their income taxes. I want to tell them, don't be afraid. Just go ahead and fill out your, extension form, send it in, whether you have money or not. Or even if you only have $50 and send it in. and send that
But
$50 in with it. It
but
gets
some
you
of
in the
them
book.
that file their income tax and they owe, can't they, is there isn't there some way that they can get an extension?
Something
I'm
happened.
just
I couldn't hear.
asking. I don't know.
I couldn't hear that.
Okay, let me hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm asking you for people that have filed their income tax and they found out that they owe the IRS. Okay, but the taxes haven't been sent in yet. You know, they did the paperwork, but they
Right.
didn't file. I mean, electronically, they just did the paperwork, and they found that
Okay.
they owe the IRS say $2,700.
Right.
I'm asking because they know that they owe. Is there some way that they can go in and file for an extension?
Yes. They definitely need to file for an extension, and they need to send even if they don't have any money, go
Okay.
ahead and send the tax form in,
Okay.
so that they can work out some kind of agreement. The IRS will give them 30 days to set up a payment agreement, and they fill a form out and they'll be approved. They can pay you like $100 a month to pay it off, but they don't want to not file if they owe and go past the deadline because they're going to get penalized for not filing.
Because some when you don't file, won't they file for you?
No, no. If you wait too long,
They'll
like three
file for
years
you.
down the road, they'll file for you before the convention goes out. So you got a 3-year window to file, regardless. If they owe you money, you
Uh-huh.
got 3 years to claim it. If you owe them
Well,
money, they got 15 years to claim it. And so
wait a minute.
it's
Wait. You say if you owe them money,
they got up to 15 or 20 years to claim it.
if they owe you money,
3 years, and then you lose your money.
oh wow, that's ugly.
So, that's what I was saying in the beginning. The Internal Revenue Service is not we going to send you your money. They are a collection agency, and we don't treat them like that. A lot of people who have dependents and they don't work big jobs and stuff anyway, they qualify for all of these allowances that the government sets aside, like child tax credits and so on and so forth. That's cash money you get. Matter of fact, a lot of people drew their child tax credit last year in advance every month. And so, there are a whole lot of things that they work for you, but our people need to know. They need to know what the rules are, and they need to follow the rules, or you wind up getting jeopardized and held hostage in a system that you have no control over. And once it kicks into motion, and you start getting letters from them, they will hunt you down wherever your social security number shows up at.
Mike Smith said deduction is key. Well, Donald Trump made sure a lot of them deductions went away, didn't he?
Yes, what he did was our people were the people who were doing tax advising found ways to save money for people who were working and paying a large part of their employee business expenses out of their own money. Because companies are supposed to take care of a lot of that because that's what they get credits for. But they take the credits and they don't pay the benefits. They wind up, if they give you benefits, putting it in your gross income. So we started using what was called a Form 2106 for employee business expense. That was, like if you used your car in business, you could take the mileage off the car. If you use your phone in business, you could take the phone. If you use your home for business, like an office, you could take a percentage of your home, but the expenses you spend at your home for office expenses off. You could, believe it or not, you could keep various things at your house if you entertain people, bringing them there for business, you could claim even some of your like your grocery expenses and stuff like that. Because if I come to your house, Katie, and say I'm going to come there for business, you're going to serve me a beverage, right?
Sure am.
Okay, well, where are you going to get it from?
Well, I'm
You're
gonna
going
get
to
it
get out
from,
of your refrigerator. You're not going to send me down to the store. You're going to go in your refrigerator and
but
make me some tea.
I'm gonna get it out of my business refrigerator, not out of my regular refrigerator.
Well, whatever refrigerator it comes out of, whether it's your personal refrigerator or your business refrigerator, you still going to have to write off a business portion of it because it's used for business. It may have
Right.
been purchased, but people don't know how to differentiate between personal expenses and business expenses. That's what the big problem is with our people right now.
Well, wait a minute. This is what I want to ask you though. But remember the Schedule A? I know
Yes,
everybody remembers the Schedule A,
right.
where I mean, when I was driving the bus, I got to write off my uniform, my shoes, my union dues, any manuals. If I
Yes,
needed glasses while I was driving the bus, I had to
yes,
wear special boots. I got a chance to write all of that out. I got a chance to write off what my donations, whether they
yes.
were clothing, because if you take something to shelters, they give you a receipt. Okay, and I take a lot of stuff to the shelter, so they would always, give you a receipt until, they might give you a receipt for $500,000 for the items that you bring. So you were allowed to write those things off. There were quite a bit. You was allowed to write that old high interest off them credit cards on that Schedule A. And Donald Trump said, I don't think you're gonna be able to do that no more. And he
No,
took
he didn't take all of that, Katie.
he took
The
mo- yeah,
Schedule A actually is still being used right now,
But
but 21.
what can you write off on it?
Okay,
Basically,
you can write you can write your medical expenses and prescription drugs off like you've been
okay,
doing, and of course you can doctor's expenses, dental expenses, your eyeglasses and contact lenses and the upkeep and all of
but
that.
you
So
can't write that high interest rate off on them. On
right,
them.
but the high interest rate off of what?
You used to could write the interest rate off on them credit cards.
Well, see, the people they use credit card for the wrong reason, but I'm not going to get in that either
They
because we're not
some
here
of
to
them
do.
do,
I'm
but
not here to. You said, she said, we're not going to advise. So I'm going to take
no,
people use it for the wrong
all I'm
reason, so you
saying is
can't write the
done.
interest rate off.
All I'm
No,
saying done is under that Schedule A, there
you
were
can
a
write.
lot of things that people could write off.
You still look.
When
You
he
you
got rid of
mixed two
Schedule
things.
A,
Look,
it
Katie,
was
you mixed
very
two things up
limited.
when you were talking a few minutes ago. I
Okay.
told you that he kicked out the 2106 employee business expenses. So you talked about
Schedule
that
A.
in relation to your job. Yeah, he stopped those and gave a standard deduction for them. But the Schedule A is still we people put on them out now. Then you can take the medical expenses off. You can take the taxes you pay on your property off. Take the mortgage interest off of your home off. And still on the same form. You can take whatever back automobile registration. You can take it off. You can. What people don't realize is they let equity value build up in the home. Talk about I'm putting to pay for my house, and
Mhm.
they'll run down there and try to pay for a car. On top of their house note as well. When they can get the equity value, pay the car out, and then you can take the interest off of the house payment, but you can't take interest off of the car or the credit card. If you use the equity value in real property to take care of expenses like that, you can write it off. The real property has a way of paying you back through the interest you can claim off on your income taxes for it. You're not going to get interest on credit cards. Uh, I tell you,
No, but I'm just saying there were some things. I'm looking at the Schedule A now. There's quite a few things missing out of here.
yeah,
That
they took the 2106 expenses off.
they took
That's
them
all I'm
out.
saying.
They took them, and then even when you write the medical, they got a formula that you can use. By the time you
Well,
use
they
this,
had a formula before.
by the
Yeah.
time you use this formula done, you probably won't even have enough to write off. I bet.
No, if you know what you're doing, you can write off a whole lot of things that people don't write off. You can write off expenses for going back and forth to the doctor at 23 cents a mile or better, and taking somebody back and forth to the doctor at 23 cents a mile or better. As long as you keep up with it and claim it on your taxes. Um, you can write a person that doesn't live with you that you help to take care of off on the taxes, not as a dependent, but as a person that you wind up doing charitable acts for. Just like you
Mm,
give clothing and stuff, you
yeah.
can write that off on your tax. People find ways to.
Is that on this Schedule A?
Yes, that's on the Schedule A on the miscellaneous deductions. You can write
Oh,
you can
okay.
write off when like yeah, people have to be careful when it comes down to what they do.
I'm
When you
looking
said
for
credit
that
cards a few minutes
miscellaneous
ago,
deductions
people
down.
go and take the credit card and think that one card is going to pay out the other card, and they're saving money, right? But you're not. When the low interest card pays out the other card, the card that just paid out sends the rest of the money that they forgive you for to the IRS, and it winds up being counted as income that has to be reported
Oh,
on your income taxes. And so a lot of people get tripped up in that, by swapping out those cards and stuff. Then when they know anything, when they do find out, a lot of people escape because they don't get audited every year. But once you get audited, you really find out what's actually in your tax dossier. When
okay.
they pull that,
Let me ask you a question because I'm very confused now. It says taxpayers who need to complete this form includes high income taxpayers who
right,
owe alternate minimum tax.
alternative minimum tax, yeah.
Oh yeah, alternative. I'm sorry, minimum tax.
Okay, do you know what
No, tell
alternative?
me. No, I don't know what it is.
Okay, alternative minimum tax is that you you're only required to pay on Social Security up to a certain level,
Uh
like
huh.
$167,000. And you make more than that, then you don't owe Social Security on that anymore. But sometimes people keep taking it. They keep taking it and keep taking it. So people then, when they realize they've had it taken out on them, they have to file to get their money back. That's what alternative minimum tax happens to be. And a
So
lot of
this
people
only
don't know it.
includes a specific group of people.
Well, you said the magic word when you said high wage earning people are the ones who,
Right. So
yes.
he excluded a lot of watch this. He excluded a lot of us people when he got rid of that Schedule A. Okay,
No, no. What he did was he did a cut off of at least $250,000. You've heard that figure quoted quite often about people
he
didn't have to
included a
worry
lot of
about.
poor. He included a lot of poor folks.
That's correct.
He excluded a lot of poor folks.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
So it's not the 1% didn't hurt on nothing that he put it into effect.
It
The
wasn't
Lord, the
designed.
Lord,
It wasn't designed for poor people. It was designed
no,
for okay. So when he got rid of
no,
Schedule A, like I said,
no, he didn't get rid of Schedule A. We still using Schedule A. I'm
okay, well,
telling you now.
he wrote us. Should I say he wrote us out of it?
He wrote the
Some people
employee
out of it.
business expense out of it.
Yes, he did, and a lot of other
That
things.
was a part of Schedule A. It's not the whole Schedule A. You still have miscellaneous deductions and everything on Schedule A that you can take.
Now, when you file a Schedule A, the total amount of deductions have to be a certain amount, right?
Yes, they do.
And if you don't have that certain amount, you can't file as Schedule A. Am I right?
It actually depends on what categories, how much you have been able to trim off and reduce your income. Do you realize that people have the opportunity to take up to a $6,000 deduction after the year is over with if they put money into a certain kind of retirement account? And that's what we were talking about before, remember? And we kind of veered off from it. But, people don't know. And when they don't know, they don't do.
Lorie, come on back here. Lorie, where'd she go?
I think we left
Oh,
her out.
sorry. I'm sorry. I had to.
Okay,
I had to jump out.
I'm through asking. I just had to come in there, and I had to find out, what advice he had for them young people. Because, girl, I didn't realize there was so many young people making all this kind of money. It's a lot of.
Well, I mean, they can have a number of different things they can do, and it depends on whether they're gonna. I brought up the TSA, which seems to have been somewhat controversial at the time, that in terms of what they understood. I was saying TSA goes across the spectrum, applies to a lot of different investment groups or investment companies that you can put your money in pre-tax, and you don't have to worry about being taxed for it. But that's why I told you could go to numerous agencies and decide you want to invest up to the maximum amount. There's no preclusion to say what you can do with your money.
Okay. All right, Lorie, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it on up because we're already 11 minutes after the hour. So thank you. And we will see you next Monday.
Okay, Professor Dunn, you got anything you want to say before we leave the screen?
Well, if you don't know how to do your taxes, don't go to these canned package programs. And I'm not trying to put down any companies or whatever, but if you don't understand them well enough to do them yourself, you're certainly not going to understand the software well enough to deal with that. So find a reasonable tax professional to advise you in terms of what you need to do. And it's better to spend money up front than to wind up spending more later on.
Okay. So are you through, Lorie? You got anything else you want to say?
I do not. Thank you both. And we will see you all back on next Monday on Opinions.
All right. Everybody check me out Friday at 5. A conversation with Brother Raymond. And we got a special guest. We're going to have Sandra Bland's sister. That's Friday at 5. Right here on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker, and most streaming apps. And today's show is brought to you by
MarthasHelpingHands.org is more than providing food, clothing, and distributing personal hygiene supplies to the homeless. It is dedicated to inspire, teach, empower the homeless to become homeful with love, compassion, and positivity. Martha's Helping Hands, a 501c3 organization advocating for the homeless by any means necessary. It's a moral obligation, and we as a country and as a people have a moral obligation to help. Make your donation today by calling 312-714-5384 or email turners412@marthashelpinghand.org. Homeless people are human, just like us. They need our help. When we do good, we feel good. We are in a position to help. It is our chance to make a difference. Make your donation today. Turners412@marthashelpinghands.org.